Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kal Halalam La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. The blessings to the apostles and the elders of James. Salutations to the Akim out there pushing his word sincerely, in truth. Peace and blessings are upon the elect of the nation of Israel, the large multitude, the men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained to receive mercy and to be a part of the first resurrection and the first dominion in the kingdom, to reign with Yahushua for 1,000 years. You know, this lesson is going to be entitled something like what's choking the word, you know, in your walk, you know, or what's preventing you from growing in this truth, right? And it's influenced, you know, by the Holy Spirit, Baraka Kodash, of course, you know. When I was watching, you know, one of the beloved brother Yeshaya, his video, he did a response to the Apostle Lagabar video called Passion, you know, and you know, the Spirit immediately, after like 2 minutes of watching the video, the Spirit immediately, you know, said to me, you know, just go into this word choke, you know, and that's pretty much the highlight of this lesson, you know. So without further ado, let's just get into it, you know. And the whole idea, the whole premise is for us to examine ourselves and see what in our life is choking the word. This is 2 Corinthians 13 verse 5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. All right, let's take a look at that word, examine. All right, so it's from the Greek pyradzo, and it means to try whether a thing can be done, to attempt, to endeavor, to try, to make trial of, to test, for the purpose of ascertaining his quality or what he thinks or how he will behave himself. Right? So you have to test yourselves. Right? You have to examine yourselves, and this should be something that we do often. You know, I used to be a teacher for over 10 years, well, almost 10 years. You can call it 10 years. You know, and one of the things that, you know, we always say in the teaching profession is that a good teacher is a teacher that is reflectful, right? That is constantly doing reflections, you know, to see how he or she can improve their craft, you know. And it's the same within any profession. This profession, we are teachers, you know, we are teachers of the scriptures, to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We have to reflect on ourselves and see how are we performing in the duty which we have been called to do. Are we meeting the criteria that has been set out? Are we fulfilling the job description? You know, is there any way that we can improve how we carry out the job description? Is there anything in our life, you know, that is preventing us from effectively carrying out our tasks or what is required of us? This is the question. These are the questions that we should ask when we examine ourselves, and this has to be a continuous thing. Why? Because the cares of this life, you know, different spirits in the world are constantly coming at us. You know, Satan is constantly walking around seeking whom he may devour. He's not taking a break. So therefore, if we take a break from pruning those bad habits, you know, and from warding off, you know, those spirits, and from not being, you know, in the spirit, you can be overtaken, right? We this truth is our candle of light, and once that candle is extinguished, the darkness takes a hold of you, and that's it, you know. So we have to tend to the candle. We have to trim it, you know, which a lamp trimmer, you know, I looked this up, you know, a couple years back. A lamp trimmer was a person that worked on a boat, you know, and or a ship, and their purpose was to continually trim away, you know, certain parts of the lamp that are already burnt, and to make sure that there's always enough oil in the lamp to make sure it constantly gives light to the people on the ship or the people on the boat, right? So we have to constantly do that, you know, in this truth, so that our lamp doesn't go out, and we don't be one of those 5 foolish virgins, Right? So let's get into the meat of the matter. There are a few precepts that talk about choking the word, and I'm just going to bring out maybe a couple. First is Matthew chapter 13, verse 22. It says, He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Right? The brother Yashai went into that word care, and it means anxiety, right? Through the idea of distraction. So when you're anxious, you're worried about different things in your world, whether it be meeting your financial needs, your woman, kids, or even your own self. Your own self is your biggest enemy. You know, we put too much care on these things and they distract us, right? The deceitfulness of riches, those also can distract us, yo. Right? Let's read another one from, this is Luke 8 verse 14. And they that which fell among the thorns are they which when they have heard go forth and are choked with cares and riches and pleasures of this life, and bring no fruit to perfection. The word perfection means to the end, right? To be consummate, right? To need nothing for completion. So that means that your fruit didn't last until the end. Yahweh Shai said, "He that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved." Right? Your fruit endured for a while, but then it was destroyed because it was choked. Right? So if you have a plant and that plant is bearing fruit, if you don't continually nourish that plant with certain nutrients and sunlight, the plant is choked and it can no longer grow, and then it dies. Right? That's what happens. Right? So we're going to take a look at the definitions here. Right? So the Greek word is sympnigo, right? Sumnigo. Right? It says to choke utterly. Metaphorically, the seed of the divine word sown in the mind. To press round or throng one so as to almost suffocate him. Right? We're going to look up a couple words here. Let's look up the word suffocate first. Right? To smother, to asphyxiate, right? To stifle, to choke. Right? Let's see if we can get something else out of this. Right. To die or cause to die from lack of air or inability to breathe. Right? So the truth is you can kill it from lack of air, which is what? Which is the spirit. All right, because the word spirit go back to the Greek word pneuma. Even the Hebrew word is rakah, which means breath or air. Right? So if you don't constantly feed your spirit with more air, you don't continually feed the seed of the word with air, which is the spirit, which is the word, it suffocates. It can't breathe because that air, which is this word, which is the spirit, is not in it. Right? So it suffocates and it dies. Right? Let's look up the word choke. Right? It says, of a person or animal have severe difficulty in breathing because of a constricted or obstructed throat or lack of air, which you just went into. Right? Reading on, it says to prevent a plant, which the seed is likened unto the truth, and we are likened unto vines, which you're going to get in Matthew 15. It says to prevent a plant from growing by depriving it of light, air, and nourishment, which is this word. Right? Desire the sincere milk of the word that ye may grow thereby. So you're preventing it because you're not giving it the things that it needs to grow because you're distracted. Prevent or inhibit the occurrence or development of. You have to continually develop in this truth. If you have a child and you don't feed that child the proper nourishment, that child doesn't develop properly. Right? And if you don't, and worst case scenario, that child dies from malnutrition. Right? So you can have this truth, which is that seed that is growing into a plant, but because you're not nourishing it with the nutrients and the light and the air that it needs, right? It dies from malnutrition. You've neglected it because you've now become distracted by things in the world, and that's what you're nourishing. That's what you're giving your time to, right? Fail to perform with a push-up point. Again, the different thing that, right? So that's pretty much it, yo. Right? Let's get a few precepts to just hit home the point. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 32. And take heed to yourselves. Examine yourselves. Watch yourselves. Right? Lest at any time your hearts, which is your mind, be overcharged with surfeiting, which means excess. Right? You're not doing it in moderation anymore, because we're not saying that you won't have cares in this life. You won't worry about your bills, your family, or whatever. Right? But to do it in moderation, to not be overcharged. Right? You have to know how to detach yourself. The scripture says, mortify your members. Right? Put away from the immortal thoughts. All these different things are advice given to you, right? So you don't choke the word, so you don't prevent it from being fruitful, right? Surfeiting, drunkenness, and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares, right? So you get so distracted that the end time now comes, and what? You're not even aware, right? You're off back in the world doing some nigger shit, right? Luke 21, verse 31, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, Satan hath the desire to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. And this is a word that has been brought up by myself and other brothers, right? But we're going to bring it out again in this lesson, right? The word is siniadzo. Siniadzo. It's to shake, to sift, to shake in a sieve, figuratively, by inward agitation to try one's faith to the verge of overthrow, right? So there are constantly different things that are thrown on you by Satan, and other evil spirits, right? To continually agitate you inwardly, right? To what? To try your faith to the point of overthrow. You don't want to be overthrown, Right? John 15 and verse 4, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye except ye abide in me. If you don't abide, right, in the vine, that branch withers and die. Because what? It lacks the nutrients. Right? I am the vine, and ye are the branches. Either abide in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered. Right? And men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Let's take a look at that word withered, and then we can wrap here. Right? Zereino. Right? Zereino.
Strong's G 3583. Xerino. Xerino.
I didn't get it. Zerino. Right? It says to make dry or dry up, to become dry, to be withered, of plants, of the ripening of crops, of fluids, of the members of the body, to waste away, to pine away, aka a withered hand. Right? To wither. Right? To wilt. Right? To waste away, to shrink away, withered, of a plant, dry and shriveled, shrunken and shriveled from age and the seas. Right? Another way you can be withered is if you lack the nutrients. You wither away. Right? So that's pretty much what I want to bring out, just to brothers, examine themselves, what's choking the word, in your life. Right? Forgive me the spirit to this lesson. Shalom until next time.